actually gone that winless for so long, and especially when Johor are powering way ahead of them when it comes to resources, when it comes to the design to bring out the best, not just in terms of salary but also in having the facilities and every other department, which I think for the first time ever it's painfully obvious that Selangor are playing a massive catch-up to try to keep up, or at least try to close the gap between them and Johor. But this is not Johor's problem. Johor resignation of Selangor coach Nidzam Jamil sent shockwaves around the Malaysian club football scene, for it was in the manner in which he resigned after the Red Giants lost 0-3 to Johor Darul Takzim, their arch rivals, in the most recent Malaysian Super League encounter. But looking at the bigger context, it is not because of one result that led to his sacking. It is more of a more complicated picture that goes beyond him. Why is that so? Why did he leave in such a manner? This was something that few could understand, especially when Selangor are actually doing relatively well in the ongoing 24-25 season, where they have done decently domestically and have excelled in Asia, particularly in their most recent AFC Champions League 2 group match at home, where they defeated Korean giants Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors 2-1. So there is no particular reason for Nidzam to leave, especially when he has been a Selangor man through and through as a player and later through the ranks as a coach. So what is it really about? Is it because Selangor are wanting more? Probably. But unfortunately, Selangor have to realize something, and it's a very cold hard fact that they are still struggling to grasp, especially when they are in uncharted waters in the current Malaysian club football scene. I mean, having been Malaysia Cup finalists since the 1920s and having won their last Malaysia Cup in 2015, which also happened to be their last trophy ever won, and take away all the other trophies that they have won since, in which TMJ had mentioned the TMJ, the Daddy's Cup or some other cups that they won which are not official competitions. They have not won anything in the sanctioned leagues or cup competitions when it really mattered. So Selangor actually, they are in uncharted territory. So much so in such uncharted territory that they have gone winless in terms of actual silverware for more than, say, 9 years and counting. And where does it leave them to? Because Selangor, even though they have had barren spells before when it comes to not winning trophies, this is the first time they have actually gone that winless for so long, and especially when Johor are powering way ahead of them when it comes to resources, when it comes to the design to bring out the best, not just in terms of salary but also in having the facilities and every other department, which I think for the first time ever it's painfully obvious that Selangor are playing a massive catch-up to try to keep up, or at least try to close the gap between them and Johor. But this is not Johor's problem. Johor is not the reason why Nidzam resigned. But however, I think unfortunately in this instance, given that Nidzam is a proud Selangor FA man through and through as a former player and as a coach, through having been under the German coaches and also under Tan Cheng Ho previously before he took over the first team reins, it is very disheartening for him when he decided that he wants to have a clean break with the Red Giants as the head coach. Especially since when he has shown his tactical nose in games, where he has actually pushed the team with limited resources, where they have lost a few key players to other clubs in the close season, where they have actually managed to stay within the top half of the Super League. But the glaring level is a bit painful, and unfortunately, where this is concerned, the Selangor management have not really realized that this is where they are now. And Nidzam has actually been in a much worse position as a head coach, as a tactician when he was guiding Felda United in the 2019 and 2020 seasons when Felda was struggling in the Malaysian Super League. Yet, he was never sacked because Felda, as the main shareholder of the club itself, they were realistic that Felda are not going to make a huge impact in the league. They were likely to be strugglers. So Felda let Nidzam do his job and trusted him to take care of the boys, take care of the tactics, and take care of the results. And they knew that whatever happened, it was not Nidzam's fault. And Nidzam stayed through the course until Felda United folded. He was never sacked. The pressure was never on him to deliver. He managed to get wins in the midst of the defeats that kept piling throughout these two campaigns at the top flight of Malaysian club football. In Selangor, where the resources and the support among the fans, and perhaps even the management is much stronger, and there is also that baggage of history that Selangor has, that glorious heritage, football heritage that Selangor has in the past. But yet, as I mentioned before, the uncharted waters that Selangor is in Malaysian football right now is that they're currently in unprecedented waters where for some time that Selangor are really adrift. They are way off the top of the Malaysian club football scene, way off. This is Johor, this is Selangor, and you can see such a massive gap that you're looking at, way off. And Selangor still has a lot of catching up to do, especially when JDT are really pulling away with their dominance, not just in Malaysia, through their excellence in Asia. Selangor, they have to really go back to the basics. And yet, I think parts of the management are at a loss of what to do. And they do want to keep Nidzam. So that's where the confusion begins. Is it because some of the fans, they are so desperate to get the heritage back again, to get Selangor back to winning ways, however obsolete the objective is, because, let's face it, Selangor are miles away from reaching back to the top of Malaysian club football, not at least in the 5, 10 or even 20 years ahead. Because right now, from even Selangor are not a distant second from the rest. No, you got Terengganu, you got Pahang, you got Perak, and you got and Sabah, and a few other teams who are capable of mixing around. So this is the new dilemma. This is the new reality that some parts of Selangor FC are struggling to accept, struggling to cope, struggling to manage. And the resignation of Nidzam Jamil really does not help at all. I do wish Nidzam Jamil the best in his future in coaching. I believe he will do better in other clubs where there is no such burden of the football heritage that rests, the history that burdens them, the massive burden that sometimes can overwhelm coaches. And actually, as I saw in a social media post recently, I think on a tweet, where they are massively so burdened by history that coaches are eaten up by the magnitude of the history through it all. And especially when they are lagging behind, they are no longer at the forefront. They are now at this backwards. They are quite backwards. So this is the new reality that they still have to grasp. And I think only once Selangor manage to grasp this reality and get the right coaches and build the right steps to push forward, then you can see that Selangor will be able to pull through and return to their former glory days. But it's going to take at least a decade, even 2 decades, for them to at least match Johor again before they can think of winning more Malaysia Cups, or even trying to match Johor in Asia, which they rarely did so in their history. So this is something for Selangor FC management to chew on, to ponder over, to relook at where they really are, not in their dreams, not in the past, but where they are now, and why they have managed to make Nidzam Jamil, a Selangor man, walk away heartbroken and what they can do to make sure that this is not going to be repeated again. And given their history of going through various coaches before, I do doubt it. Unless it takes a visionary with either in the management or a coach to be able to rise Selangor back from the ashes.